Hello everyone, welcome back. We're back here with our first part of our season preview. We're going through the Western Conference. I'm going to give you my predictions for the standings for the Western Conference for our upcoming 2025-2026 season. Stay tuned. We've got a lot of interesting predictions coming up right now. Hello everyone, welcome back to another video here at the End-to-End Hockey channel. Now before we begin this video, don't forget to like this video and subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this without all of you guys, so if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers, and don't forget to stay tuned for our videos coming out in the very near future. So in today's video, I'm going to be giving you my predictions for the upcoming 25-26 season for the Western Conference. So I'm going to have a separate video talking about the Eastern Conference standings predictions, and then a separate video amongst that talking about how the playoffs would shape up and who I would have as my preseason Stanley Cup champion. We're going to start here with the Western Conference. So basically I'm going to go bottom team through top team, show you who I have missing the playoffs and who I have making the playoffs. And I would love to hear guys' thoughts down in the comment section below on who you would have missing the playoffs, making the playoffs, and what your standings predictions would look like. So we're going to start off with the 16th team in the Western Conference and my current standings predictions for the 25-26 season. And I have that being the Chicago Blackhawks, finishing dead last with a 29-45-8 record for 66 points. I don't think the Hawks are going to be a good team this year. I think this Hawks team is still in a rebuild mode. I think they're going to show some signs. I think they're going to have some good players who have some maybe breakout seasons. I just don't think as a whole the Blackhawks are an overly strong team in the Western Conference. I think they're going to be able to do barely better than last year, and that's only because they were so bad last year. So my current prediction for the Hawks is that they're dead last in the Western Conference. They have a very good shot to line Gavin McKenna, and I think that this Hawks team is just not going to be there for them this year. So that's my opinion on the Blackhawks. Next, going over to the Seattle Kraken. That's who I have being 15th in the Western Conference. I have them finishing with a record of 30-43-9 for 69 points. I have them taking another major step back. I think they had in the mid-70s last year, so I have them taking a massive step backwards. I know the Kraken really want to make the playoffs. I know I would really like to see the Kraken make the playoffs, but I can't see them. They got a lot more mid this year than they were last year, and they're just a middling team at this point in time. And I think they're going to take a massive step backwards. I think they're going to also be in the running for Gavin McKenna and sell off at the trade deadline. I don't have very high expectations for the Seattle Kraken for this upcoming season. Not to say they won't have some good players, but I can't see the Kraken do very much. The 14th team I have in the Western Conference is the San Jose Sharks. I have them taking a massive step forward. I have them finishing with a record of 32-39-11 for 75 points. I think that's a massive step in the right direction. I think they finished, 60-ish points last year? So to go up to 75, hit like 15 to 20 points ahead of where they were last year, that's going to be a massive step in the right direction. I think some of the younger guys are going to have breakout seasons. I think they're going to have some solid goaltending this year, some decent defense. Now, I'm not going to go crazy and say that this team's going to be a playoff-bound team, but I think they're going to take major strides to be very close to a 500 team. So that's my opinion on the San Jose Sharks. They're 14th in the Western Conference. 13th in the Western Conference will be the Nashville Predators. I have them finishing with a record of 36-39-7 for 79 points. So it's definitely a step forward from last year. I think it's 10 points more than they had last season. So my prediction for the Predators is they will take a little bit of a step forward, but I still cannot see at this point in time the Preds taking enough of a step forward to make the playoffs. I think this team will be, once again, maybe hang around early in the season, but towards the end of the season they'll fall off and they'll miss the playoffs by a handful of points. I can't see this Preds team, after what they showed us last year, be a team who makes the playoffs this year. So that's my current prediction for the Preds. Next up at 13th in the Western Conference, and I have that being the Calgary Flames. I have them finishing with a record of 36-33-13 for 85 points. Yes, I have them taking about a 10-point step backwards from last year. I think a lot of things went right for Calgary last year. Like, a lot of their players had really good seasons. Kadri, Huberdeau, Uyghur bounced back. Wolf had a phenomenal season. I don't think the Flames are going to have that much luck again this year. I think they'll still be a team who's competitive, who remains in the hunt for quite a bit of time. I just can't see them be a playoff team. Like, I think if they were going to be a playoff team, it would have been last year when they missed out on tiebreakers. I just think they're poised for a little bit of a step backwards. So I think the Flames are going to hit 85 points and be a team who misses the playoffs again. Then I have three teams who will finish 5 points or less out of a playoff spot. At the 11th spot on the Western Conference, I have the Vancouver Canucks. I think they're going to be very close, finish 4 points out of a playoff spot. I have them finishing with a record of 42-34-6 for 90 points. I think they're going to be in a very similar position as to what they were last year. Like, they're going to be a team who hits in the high 80s, low 90s, and misses the playoffs by a couple of points. Like, I think they're in a similar position to where they were last year. I personally would not be one bit surprised if the Canucks were one of the teams to sneak into a wildcard position. I wouldn't be surprised about that, but as current point in time, I think there are a couple of teams better in the Western Conference than the Vancouver Canucks. So as much as I do think the Canucks could make a playoff spot, I currently have them being in a similar position to last year where they just miss out. Next up is the 10th spot in the Western Conference, and that is the St. Louis Blues. Yes, after just making it into a wildcard spot last year, I have them just missing out this year. Record of 43, 34, and 5 for 91 points, just ever so slightly missing out on a playoff berth by 3 points. So once again, I think the Blues have a really solid forward group. Defensive-wise, they're a pretty solid team, and goaltending-wise, have a pretty solid tandem in Binnington and Hofer. But I just think that there were a couple of teams in the Central Division especially, but also in the Western Conference in general, who did a lot more this offseason than the St. Louis Blues, got a whole bunch better. So as much as I do think the Blues are a good team, and just like the Canucks, I could see them sneaking into a playoff berth, I do not think this point in time they are a likely team to get into a playoff spot. So that's who I have at 10th in the NHL. 9th in the Western Conference is the Colorado Avalanche. I don't know why people keep on putting them as like a playoff lock, winning the Central, top 10 team. I don't think they are. I think this Avalanche team has holes. I think their forward group's decent, especially their top 6, but their depth is lacking. Defensive-wise, they have a pretty solid defensive core. Goaltending-wise, they have a decent goalie tandem, but like they started out terribly last year, and because of the second half surge, they were able to make the playoffs. I don't see them as a playoff lock, which is why I'm finishing them as the 9th team in the Western Conference in my predictions. Record of 42, 32, and 8 for 92 points. I could see them make a playoff spot. I'm not saying they're going to have a terrible season and be way out of a playoff spot. I could see them be a playoff team. I just don't think they're a playoff lock like all these other people think. So I'm going to have them missing out by 2 points. I could see them make a playoff spot, could see them make a wildcard spot, just can't see it right now. Next, going over to the 8 teams who I have making the playoffs. So at the second wildcard position in the Western Conference, I have the Anaheim Ducks. Record of 42, 32, and 10 for 94 points. Yes, I think the Ducks are going to be a team who takes the next step forward and makes the postseason. I think the Ducks are going to be a team who has a really solid season. I think they're going to surprise a whole bunch of people. I don't think they're going to have a bad season by any means. I think they're going to take a step forward. They took a step forward last year, hitting the 80-point plateau for the first time in a long time. And I think they're going to take another step forward this year, hitting 94 points and making the playoffs. Like I said, I could see the Ducks be surpassed by teams like Colorado, St. Louis, or Vancouver for a wildcard spot. But at this current point in time, I think the Ducks improved enough in the offseason to be a playoff-bound team. At this first wildcard position in the Western Conference is the Winnipeg Jets. I have them finishing with a record of 46, 31, 5 for 97 points. I think they're going to take a step back from last year. I don't think they're going to have a President's Trophy level season. I think some of their top-end talent's going to have a little bit of a step back from last year. Hellebuyck's not going to have as good of a season as last year, but I still think this team's a playoff team. Like, I don't think they're going to fall out of a playoff spot. Could even see them still being a top 3 spot in the Central Division, but I think there were a couple of teams who got a little bit better than them last year, so I'm going to have them as the 97-point first wildcard team, but still make a playoff spot. Then the top 3 spots in the Central Division are as follows: Utah with a 46-27-9 record for 101 points, Dallas with a 49-27-6 record for 104 points, and Minnesota with a 50-24-8 record for 108 points. So at this current point in time, I have Utah, Dallas, Minnesota, the top 3 teams in the Central Division. I think Utah, the offseason they had, adding Peterka, Schmidt, Tanev, Vanacek, I think they improved this team drastically. Their younger players are going to take steps forward. I think this team is a real under-the-radar team to do some damage, not only in the regular season, but in the postseason. But at least at this point in time, I have Utah being a top 3 team in the Central, and I think they are a better team at this point in time after their movement than teams like Winnipeg or Colorado. Dallas, once again, similar position to where they were last year, hitting the triple-digit mark, almost hitting 50-plus wins, and they also wind up finishing second in the Central. Like, I think they're in a similar position. Could see them maybe win the Central Division, but wouldn't be surprised if they were just a top 3 team, once again finishing second in the Central. And I had the Minnesota Wild winning the Central Division. Yes, I think the Wild are poised to take a massive step forward. Kaprizov's locked up. They're out of the Parise and Suter buyouts. This team did a little bit of tinkering this offseason that I really like. They have Walls there as the backup now. I think this team's poised to take a massive step forward and win the Central Division. So those are my predictions for the Central Division. My top 3 in the Pacific, same as last year. Los Angeles, third in the Pacific with a 45-29-8 record for 98 points. Oilers, second in the Pacific Division with a record of 48-28-6 for 102 points. And Golden Knights, first, again, in the Pacific Division with a 54-23-5 record. So those are my predictions for the Pacific side. Once again, I want to put one of Anaheim or Vancouver into a top 3 spot, and knocking out one of Los Angeles or Edmonton. But at the end of the day, just couldn't. We're going to have another Los Angeles Edmonton Stanley Cup first round matchup. The Los Angeles Kings, I think, do take a little bit of a step back from last year. Edmonton around the same spot as they were last year. So I think with the offseason additions, their defense gets a little bit slower, a little bit older. I do like the additions that they made, but I just don't think it's going to give them a whole bunch more points in the regular season. So that's why I had bumping them down from 105 points last year to 98 points this year. I had the Oilers in the same sort of position. I don't think they got terribly worse, but I do think they got a tiny bit worse. But I think they're still going to be in the sort of triple-digit point mark and around the second or third spot in the Pacific Division. And then I have Vegas once again winning the Pacific Division, winning the Western Conference. Like, I think Vegas is poised to take a massive step forward, especially after the addition of Mitch Marner. They have one of the deepest forward groups in the entire NHL. They have a really solid defensive core, even without Pietrangelo, Hill, and whether it's Hart, who they signed at some point, or whether it's Schmid, is going to be a really solid goaltending tandem. Like, I think this Golden Knights team is poised to do some massive damage this upcoming season in the regular season. So if you would just break it down, I'm going to show you guys on the screen, but here's my predictions for the standings. So to miss the playoffs, I have Chicago with 66 points, Seattle with 69, San Jose with 75, Nashville with 79, Calgary with 85, Vancouver with 90, St. Louis with 91, and Colorado with 92. The two wildcard teams are Anaheim with 94 and Winnipeg with 97. Top three in the Central are Utah 101, Dallas 104, and Minnesota 108. And top three in the Pacific are LA with 98, Edmonton with 102, and Vegas with 113. We shall see how my Western Conference predictions stack up at the end of the season when the season is all set and done. So I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts. Do you agree with any of my predictions for the Western Conference for this upcoming season? Do you disagree with them? I'd love to hear your guys' thoughts on who you would have finish top three in the Central, top three in the Pacific, the two wildcard teams. And also don't forget to stay tuned, because I'm going to have my playoff prediction video based on these standings coming up in the next couple of days, which will have Vegas play Anaheim, Minnesota play Winnipeg, Dallas play Utah, and another Edmonton LA first round matchup. So don't forget to stay tuned for that. But that's all I'm going to talk for today. I'll let your guys' thoughts down in the comment section below. What was your opinion on all of this? And who would you have where in the 2025-2026 NHL standings for the Western Conference? That's all I'm going to talk for today. If you want to like this video, and if you're to subscribe below. Thank you for all of your support. I would never be able to do this with all of you guys. So if you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe button down below. Don't forget to leave a comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Don't forget to stay tuned for videos coming out in the very near future. Also, a blog, talking about news, rumors, analysis, stuff like that. So check that out. I've linked that in the description below. Can't wait to see you guys all for next video. See you guys soon.